It's not the ingredients, it's the process.
Everybody thinks our recipes are like crown jewels or not. They're important, but
No, it's
the process. It's the process that makes the food. You know, the ingredients are in the back of the can.
This was clearly stated by the VP of Campbell Soup. The label on our food products is not the whole truth. The real issue may not be the ingredients at all. It appears that there is a real danger in the process, the part that they never print on the label. A label will tell you what's in the food, but they will never tell you what they did to it or what they removed. This may be an uncomfortable truth, but lean in because we need to have this conversation. Let's start with a simple reminder. Tobacco was once just a plant used by Native Americans for ceremony and for medicine. It wasn't addictive or destructive. It wasn't engineered to do anything other than be a plant and used as such. But once the tobacco industry added processing, ammonia, fillers, chemical enhancers, nicotine manipulation, that plant became a product. That product was designed for dependence. In the 1980s, I've told you these same tobacco companies purchased our major food brands with the intent of applying their addictive business model to our groceries to make them highly palatable and addictive. Now, let's be clear. None of us ever understood how tobacco became so addictive. We don't know what they did to it, and we also don't know what they have done to our food. So when someone says, relax, the ingredients are listed on the label, just know that the most important part is never listed on the label. Let me give you a perfect example. Most households will have a bag of wheat flour. Go look at your bag of wheat flour. This is something we all understand. We assume that it has all of the components of wheat, right? A wheat berry has 3 parts: the bran, which has fiber and minerals, the germ, which has healthy oils and vitamins, and the endosperm, which is the starch. Now, that commercially processed wheat flour has all the bran and the germ removed, leaving only the cheap shelf-stable starch. This is white flour. This is not a grain anymore. They gave us the leftover starch. They tell you it's flour in there, but they don't tell you everything that they removed. And they don't disclose the process, that they bleached it, whitened it, softened it, enriched it with synthetic vitamins to replace the ones that they destroyed, or that they used bromine, as an anti-caking agent. It's no wonder that people are reacting to flour. They're not reacting to ancient wheat. They're reacting to the process. This is why real farmers like Guardian Grains, who leave the bran and the germ intact, are seeing families regain tolerance to wheat when they switch to the actual whole grain. But that's a topic for another video. In my cooking classes, I teach kids that what is similar is not the same, because that whole grain wheat flour is not the same as commercially processed white flour found in the grocery store. Another example would be maple syrup. Real maple syrup comes from maple trees. They absorb sunlight, they produce minerals and antioxidants, but what is sold in the grocery store now is labeled as pancake syrup. They quietly swapped out the maple syrup for corn syrup, or high fructose corn syrup, caramel color, and maple flavor. They can't label it as maple syrup. It's called pancake syrup. They're both a brown liquid and may look similar, but they are definitely not the same. And did you know that most brands can no longer legally label ice cream as such? Have you noticed the difference now in the ice cream aisle at the grocery store? Because the process has changed so drastically. The cream has been replaced with oils, gums, and stabilizers. So now it has to be labeled as a frozen dairy dessert. Similar? Maybe. The same? Absolutely not. And then we have milk, which has been pasteurized, ultra pasteurized, homogenized. And all of these processes alter the enzymes and the proteins. So many people who can't tolerate milk have suddenly found that they can tolerate raw milk because the process is so different. Actually, raw milk isn't processed. Over and over again, we see this pattern repeat. The problem isn't the ingredient. It's what the industry did to the ingredient. And the VP of Campbell's let us in on that little secret. It's what I've been saying for years. We don't know what they've done to the food because they don't have to disclose the process. Yes, the ingredients are on the label, but what the label never tells you is how was it heated? How many times was it refined? What solvents were used or stabilizers added? What type of synthetic flavors did they create? What nutrients were destroyed or components that were completely removed? Like the bran and the germ. They also don't tell you how the texture was engineered or that bliss point was formulated. How was that product designed for repeat consumption anyways? And that is the addictive food model that was created by the tobacco industry. They have mastered the process of making foods that bypass your satiety system and target your dopamine pathways. I suspect they knew a little more about leptin and ghrelin than most of us. So when we keep asking, why are our kids so dysregulated? Why are families so addicted to convenience foods? It's because the process was designed to create that outcome. So where do we go from here? It's simple. We need to go backwards. We need to go back to real food. We need to go back to cooking like our grandparents did. This is why I buy my grains from Guardian Grains, where the bran and the germ have never been removed. Their pasta is nothing more than stone milled wheat and water because I want my food whole and not hollow. I'm also a huge supporter of FarmMatch, a platform that connects you directly to farmers in your area with no middlemen, no processing mystery, just food from the source. When you remove the middle layers, the factories, the flavor labs, the refining, you're left with real food, the way nature intended. And real food supports real health, real focus, and real energy. So the next time someone says, live a little, or a little bit won't hurt you, a little bit of what? Because we don't know what the food companies have been doing to the food. We know that they took tobacco and made it highly addictive when the Native Americans were historically never addicted to it. And then they took that same business model and applied it to the food industry. And wasn't it the president of Nabisco said he would never touch an Oreo? And now we have the VP of Campbell saying he would never touch Campbell soup. What is this telling us? It's telling us that there's something we don't know. The label tells us almost nothing. It's time for a gut check. This is when we check in with our body, our gut, our intuition. What feels right or maybe off about these foods? If you're ready to take your power back, check out the links that I put in the show notes for Guardian Grains and for FarmMatch. Feel free to subscribe and join me for cooking classes and more education, because I believe our freedom begins and ends in our kitchen and we can take it back together.